see how Katia chose to go for the two most famous operas, or two of the most famous operas in this series. In this case, we are going to have Una voce poco fa, the most iconic song for a baritone, that is the introduction of Figaro, largo al factotum. That's what we are going to be talking about today. And just before I do that, I want to apologize to our friends in the podcast. You know that we have had a chance of being sharing the audio of these programs in a number of platforms, the most popular ones. We are sharing our podcast streaming there. And I would like to thank the people from the following countries, and then I will name some of the cities. I would like to thank people in the United States. A good number of people have been listening to us from there. We also would like to thank people in Russia. Russia Federation have also been listening to our program. Thank you very much. People in Norway, that very beautiful country, also thank you very much. People in the United Kingdom, thank you very much. And also in the Netherlands. Now I would like to name some of the cities. People in Seattle, Washington, thank you very much. People in Essex, Brentwood, and excuse me if I didn't pronounce it in British English. So, Essex, Brentwood, thank you very much. Los Angeles, California, of course. Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, thank you again. As well as New York, New York. You know that very famous song that we all have in our minds, New York, New York. Thank you very much. Warrington, Illinois, thank you very much. And Zutphen, Gelderland, thank you very much as well. So now we are ready to start with having fun. But before we jump into our first area, Katia, what comes to your mind whenever you think of Rossini?
I think of myself, being honest, I think of myself, especially in this case when she's saying that I'm gentle, I'm kind, uh, but touch me and I will have to use my nails and my and my foot, my feet. So I think she's a very interesting character, because yeah, she's a funny person. She has this humor sense, and she's in love, but she's brave at the same time. So I love Rosina.
And I would like to say before we jump into Una voce poco fa, that's the name of the. Well, let's make some comments because people may not be very aware of it. First thing first, the arias, or what we call the arias, are usually named, as in this case, Una voce poco fa. But what we usually do is that we take the first phrase the singer sings to name the aria. So it's really not Una voce poco fa, it's just the first words she says. So it's going to be the same for largo al factotum. It's not the name of the area, but it's the name we have given, provided that those are the first words that Figaro speaks. So that was the first clarification. Second one, we have mentioned, or I think we have mentioned in the past that Rossini was such a character. He was a Don Giovanni in the sense that he fell in love for so many women. All his life was plagued with so many women. It is also said that he was a very funny character, that he even would steal compositions from himself. So he would take the introduction or the choir or the orchestration from one opera, put it into another just to make things easier. He could be a good cook, some people say. So he was a very funny guy. I think I would have loved to meet him. And we can sense that in his operas, what is called the opera buffas, which at the end means funny and gay compositions, very enthusiastic for singing. And you may realize very soon that singing Rossini is to have an excellent diaphragm. enable in order to control all that amount of air in order to do what we are about to hear. But it's not only about the air or having high notes or being able to speak very rapidly, which you will also notice, but it is also about being funny, which is something opera singers do not always have. We have a very hard time trying to we have spent so many time so many years trying to look so serious that now that we have to be funny. There are some singers that even having the voice don't actually go for the arias because now they have to jump, they have to run, they have to do funny things on the stage that they don't feel like doing. So singing Rossini is not for everybody, but singing Rossini is having the fun of your life. Now, I'm not sure. What would you like to do? Would you like to go ahead and sing your Una voce poco fa? Or would you like to go slow through the score and at the end you sing it complete?
I think we could start sharing this area. I could sing it right now, and maybe after listening, it's pretty more clear some ideas in the score. I think it might work.
Okay, we'll do that. And you will notice that I am not even sure if I should be scrolling the score because I am pretty sure that Katya is going to sing something very differently to what is going to be shown on the
Hey!
screen. And let me tell you why. Rossini used to be, out of the many lovers he had in his life, he was in love for I would say, a mezzo or a dark colored mezzo. And so he wrote many of his compositions for that voice. In fact, sometimes the mezzo sounds even darker than the tenor. So it's funny when you have on stage that the tenor has a very white voice, non so che dir, something like that, da-da-da-da-da-dee. And then suddenly comes out the mezzo with una voce. It's very funny
That's
to see.
part of being fun
Yeah, that's part
with
of it
Rossini.
fun. But that makes it something that sopranos don't like to do because it is written for a mezzo. But do you think as that good stop a soprano? Never. What will
It
they
doesn't
do?
exist.
They will just add notes, so many notes, add many things
A
that
lot
are
of
not
notes. A
good.
lot of notes.
and
By the way.
and it is very fun. I was about to tell you that I don't even recall how many versions of Una Voce Poco Fa I know because everybody does something differently. So
Yeah.
we are about
There
to
are many versions as singers have tried.
yeah. And so we are about to hear Katya's. You wanted to share that you're basing this version on a very famous Mexican singer version, right? Tell us a little about it
That
if you don't mind.
I first the first time I heard this area was in Ernestina Garfia's voice. She was known as one of the greatest white voices in Mexico. So I heard this version and I said, well, one day maybe when I at last to become a singer, I want to try Rosina. And then I saw it was written for contralto, and I said like, no, 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 I have to. So I got the score.
Yeah, you told
And I'm
yourself that's
gonna
not going to stop me, right?
exactly. That's right. And here I am. Let's do this. Una voce poco fa qui nel cor mi risuonò il mio cor ferito è già vincerò. Sì, mio sarà, lo giurai. Il tutor richiuserà, io l'ingegno gozzerò, alla fin saccherò e contenta io resterò. Sì, lindoro mio sarà. Lo giurai, lo vincerò. Sì, lindoro mio sarà. Lo giurai. Io sono docile, rispettosa, sono obbediente, dolce amorosa, mi lascio reggere, mi può guidare, ma se mi tocca il nodo del mio debole, sarò una vipera, sarò e 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar e 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar e 100 trappole prima di cedere e 100 trappole farò giocar. Io sono docile, sono obbediente, mi lascio reggere, mi può guidare, ma se mi toccano per mio debole, sarò una vera sarò e 100 troppo
And as you could see, Katia had a very great time in coming up with something that actually Rossini didn't write. So we were trying.
Circus,
We were
acrobatics.
yeah
What was that?
we were trying to follow you on the screen, but there is a good number of notes that were not actually written. So,
Of course.
but we
Yeah, it's totally different if I'm being honest to myself, if I'm honest with you, all of you, and if I'm honest with Rossini, it's almost another aria.
yeah, it is.
It
But
is totally.
I would like to say also something. We were saying that there are many sopranos who have tried it as well, and with more or less success. But
That's why you have to emphasize that the key word in this case is to try, because it's not a piece of cake at all.
and that's why I would like to mention that I like versions like you know, if you have heard our programs, you have already very well noticed the characteristics of Katia's voice, and Katia's voice is perfect for this type of singing. However, there are many sopranos who are not with this easiness for coloratura or high notes, are closer to lyric sopranos and try to sing Rosina, and it ends up becoming a disaster.
At least they sing it as it's written.
But you know, it usually
But
one can perceive that it is hard for them because
it is hard for anyone. Let me
okay.
tell you.
But remember that the audience doesn't have to notice that you are suffering. Because
That's right.
if they see that you're having trouble in reaching the notes, if they see that you are trying, if they notice that even the director is putting a slower tempo so that you have enough time to barely touch the notes, that's not fair. I
Mhm.
mean, you know how fast it has to be sung. Cento trappole, tararara, tatarata, tatara, taratata, tatatata. But if you are a soprano that shouldn't be singing it, and you are cento trappole farò
No,
giocar farò, no, you fall
no, no,
asleep.
no.
And Rosina is having fun.
Yeah.
Farò giocar. And after that, you add
Yeah.
higher notes in that.
Once upon a time, I heard in my music history class that art is the skill to make something seems easy. And if it doesn't seem easy, it's not easy for you, and you're not making art.
Yeah, and people notice
I
this.
agree.
And you know,
Hmm.
I also suffer. We will talk about it later. But I also suffer mainly for the lower voices, the basses, because we have two. Well, we have three very dark voices. Figaro not
Yeah.
that dark, but Il Dottore, you know, I was, in fact there are four. I was counting three, but there are four. Let's say the opposite. The only white
We
voice
have Basilio, the
Basilio, Don
singing
Basilio,
teacher.
yeah. And what I wanted to say is that the only white voice is the tenor. The other voices,
Yeah, that's right.
the other voices are dark, except when you have a soprano like Katya's, who brings more color to it. But when you have dark voices, and maybe we will try La Calunia later. You know, it starts low. La Calunia è un venticello. But later, when it goes faster, and the bass cannot reach that speed, it also feels like you're
Oh my God,
playing uh,
everybody suffers.
a vinyl disc in slow motion. You know, that's what it sounds like. It's horrible. Maybe the recommendation that we have done in the past, please, fellow singers, if you don't have the speed, if you don't have the breath, if you don't have the notes, don't go for Rossini. There are very nice compositions for bel canto that maybe you can
There are
try.
lots of music. You don't have to.
You know, don't punish yourself and don't punish your audience by trying this.
Yeah, you're gonna suffer, and everybody's gonna suffer with you.
Yeah. So let's go through the score like somehow just to paint what's Rosina's mood. It really doesn't make much sense to sing it again because you will notice that now that you heard a very bright rendition of it, now you feel like Rosina's original score is like not that. But let's be clear for a mezzo with these qualities of about 2 octaves in the register, it is a very good area. Because it goes so low, you will notice that I was telling you that her voice is even darker than the tenors. So the tenor sounds like her son because it is for a very light voice. So it starts when una voce poca fa qui nel cor mi risuono. Basically, Rosina is telling us that in her heart, it not long ago, in her heart, a voice. I'm not sure if resounded is in English or if I am coming up with a word. Risuonó, which in Spanish is resonar, but in English I'm not sure if it is resonate or something. But in her heart, she heard the voice, basically. So she heard the voice, right? And it sounded so hard.
There's a sounding voice within her heart.
Yeah, I like your expression better. Yeah, that looks better.
Yeah.
And then she says, Il mio cor ferito è già, fu l'indoro fu che il piagò. Because we have to say that at this point in the opera, the tenor is called Lindoro. And in fact, he's the Duca. I was about to say Duca de Mantua, but no.
No, 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 no.
But there is
His
a.
count.
Sorry?
His account. Alma Viva.
Yeah. His account, the count on my view. But what I was about to say, that this gender of the opera buffa comes from, in fact, from what is called in Spanish la comedia de los enredos,
Oh yeah.
which is basically that what just happened to me, that I mix up something with something else. So the purpose of all these compositions is to mix up the plot so much that it becomes so twisted that as in the Cenerentola, when they say questo nudo avviluppato, when they say that
Mhm.
everything is so twisted that it is so difficult to understand, and that's what happens in this composition. So il Conte d'Almaviva is now named Lindoro, so that's how Rosina knows him, and that's why she calls him Lindoro, because he's playing to be another character on the recommendation of Figaro, which we will meet later on. So that's why she's calling him Si Lindoro mio Sara. And it is very funny because in this style of composition, you know, if it had been Puccini or somebody else, when you talk about the person you love, it would be a very long note, a very warm, and etc. But Rossini, being the character that he was, he couldn't do that. So when she says his name, she doesn't say Cilindoro mio Sara like Rossini, like Puccini, but it has to be mio Sara, lo giurai, la vincero, and then again goes, but now it goes high for Cilindoro mio Sara and repeats Lo Giurai, La Vincero. Now that I talk about repetitions, for those who are not familiar with this type of opera writing, especially bel canto and moreover Rossini, there are the same phrases repeated a good number of times with only variations in the notes, and he plays with everything. So no need to repeat that that she actually repeats the vincero vincero mio sarà mio sarà mio sarà. What is she saying? That she will have him. She's a predator.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, Lindoro, or the Il Conte d'Almaviva, thinks that he is going after Rosina. But in this area, Rosina is telling us that she's actually after him. She has already
Yeah.
seen that guy and says, "Ah, I'm going to have that guy." So
Girl
Jovinci,
power.
yeah, yeah. Il tutto ricuserò, io l'ingegno aguzzerò, alla fin sacchetterò e contenti resterò. And then again, sì, l'indoro mio sarà, lo giurai, la vincerò. Sì, l'indoro mio sarà, lo giurai, la vincerò. So if you see, we have already repeated l'indoro about 5 times and la vincerò 5 times and with
She's in
variations.
love. She's in love, and when you're in love with someone, you only talk about that person.
That is a very good justification for it. Yeah, I have to admit, almost believable justification for repeating so
I've
many.
been there.
And then comes a very funny part because when the soprano is also funny on the stage, she also I'm not sure if I should use the expression contradictory, but she has to look innocent because she says io sono docile, son rispettosa, sono obbediente. Like, oh, I am such a good girl. But dolce amorosa, mi lascio reggere, mi fo guidar. Such a nice person that is Rosina. She's docile, which I
She's
don't.
an angel.
She's an angel, yeah, right. Rispettosa, obbediente, dolce, amorosa. She has herself in very high esteem.
That's why she should be soprano.
Yeah, that's why she should be a soprano. No, nobody believes that a mezzo with a darker voice than the tenor can be that nice, right?
Yeah, ever.
But
That's not.
I hear here's where it comes the change because she says, "Ma se mi toccano, dove il mio debole sarà una vipera sarò," right? Now you're changing. How would you like to translate that expression?
If you touch my weak point, I'll become a viper, snake.
No longer a docile e rispettosa, not like that. Now you become a viper.
I'll kill you because that's what a snake does.
Yeah.
I'll kill you.
Yeah. E 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar. And then again she starts playing again with the expression e 100 trappole prima di cedere, e 100 and there is not much to explain because as you can see it repeats again farò giocar e 100 trappole prima di cedere e 100 trappole farò giocar and then goes again for io sono docile, sono obbediente, mi lascio reggere, mi fo guidar. But at this point, nobody believes her because she has already.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. She
Sorry.
has already told us that she's able to play 100 tricks to get away with what she wants. So never trust Rosina, believe me. And if it is a soprano, moreover, don't trust her. A mezzo
Hey.
maybe. Che mi fo guidar, ma se mi toccano dov'è il mio debole, sarà una vipera sarò. E 100 trappole prima di cedere, farò giocar e 100 trappole. I would also like to mention something that not everybody notices at the first time. Even though Rossini's compositions are usually fast, e 100 trappole farò giocar, there are times when he likes to slow. E 100 trappole prima di cedere. Very slow, and then right after that, farò giocar. That's when I think of Rossini, I cannot think of someone who's just having fun, saying, I'm going to have the singer sing fast. Then I'm going to have him sing slow. Then he will go fast again. Then he will go fast and maybe with a choir, and then I will let him give a high note. That's how.
And if you singer don't have fun with it, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. So besides doing all that, I am expecting the singer to have fun. So
Yeah. It's like a
for,
party. It's fun for everyone.
yeah, it's fun, and with so many repetitions in the words, you may think that at some point it sounds repetitive, but it does not, because he's playing with the scales, he's playing with adding the accent in one of the words, and in the very next phrase he's changing the accent to another word. So he basically really he does whatever he wants. So that's why you think that Rosina's aria has lots of text, when in fact I think it's more no more than five sentences for a 5 minutes rendition, right?
Yeah. But when you face this kind of music, it is hard. It can be hard to remember so many repetitions and you can get lost. And that's an important point.
Oh yeah,
It's
absolutely.
terrible. You don't know which one of the repetitions are you singing. It feels terrible.
But but you also have to keep in mind that even if you forget what you were about to say, you still have to share with the audience that you are having fun.
Oh, of course, nobody has to notice it.
And as you have as we have that expression that many times the singer is just washando the words because he basically forgot.
Yeah.
And when we say that when we like to say that expression, we also have to remember and go back to the kind of voice that you need to have when you are a soprano or a mezzo, and you have to change so fast in both in the rhythm, and then going for a slow, and then going again for the rhythm, and thinking what repetition you are in with the words. At some point you usually mess up.
Yeah. And acting, if you are on stage, oh God.
But that's where you have a good group of friends on stage, and that's when they are going to help you with something. And that's why also some people sometimes they like to cut the whole area because it may be way too much. But as you may have noticed on the screen, it is now time to welcome the star of the whole opera. It is in fact El Figaro who gives the name to this opera. Il Barbero di Sevilla, maybe nobody knows, but Il Barbiero is in fact Figaro. And what he's about to sing also doesn't make any sense. So don't try to make any sense out of what he's going to sing. But one thing for sure is that if Rossini hadn't come up with a character like Figaro, this opera would have never been that successful, because everything is around Figaro. Once he enters the stage, you usually forget the other characters, except for the time when they are alone. But you know that when Figaro enters the stage, he's going to be doing something. He's a baritone, but he's a very special kind of baritone. Don't think of a baritone like Scarpia. Well, there might be very good singers who can sing both Figaro and Scarpia, but usually they aren't the same type of baritone. You may find baritones who are Verdian baritones and usually do not sing this light Figaro, because we go back to that they have to sing very, 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 very fast. And he needs to have a good range of voice, and he has to be funny. So if you can sing Scarpia and look cruel and sing Figaro and look funny,
My respect.
yeah, yeah, you are such a great singer. It's not an easy thing to do. That's because you develop two very different characteristics of your voice: lighter sounds, bright sounds, ease of breath, good diaphragm control, brightness in your high notes, you are Figaro. But imagine a Scarpia with that cruel voice trying to sing Lord, like that, like in the first
No,
act, it's not going to work.
no.
But and we have to say also that Figaro has been so famous, not even in the opera. You can see, well, Katia shared with me that even the one we call in Spanish El Pájaro Loco or Goody
Woody
Woodpecker,
Woodpecker.
he,
Love
he also sings Figaro. Today I was watching on Netflix an Italian series, and it turned out that the cat's name was Figaro. So so
Yeah, that's right.
while the cat was on the screen, they were playing this largo factotum in the background. So people may have never attended the opera, but they might have heard the Figaro. Figaro, 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 Figaro. Jaime. We are going to get there. So let's get started with. Let me see if I can play at least the introduction of it, because uh, for some reason I concentrate better when I listen to music. And also because from the very moment you notice that this music is playing, or that the orchestra is playing, you already know that something very nice is about to happen. So, I think that the version that I have at hand is orchestra. So I will need to stop it after 7 seconds because they will issue us on the copyright. Okay, so only 8 seconds I will try to play. Let me put more volume on it and be very attentive to not exceed those 8 seconds. And that's how it all starts. And it opens saying Largo al factotum della città, which could be like, I think you're a better translator than me. How would you say Largo al factotum della città? Because I know that
It's like
factotum doesn't even have a word in
like
Spanish.
behold, behold, a very important person in the town.
I like that.
Factotum.
The factotum means
Mhm.
something like the guy who does everything. I don't think we have an
Yeah,
expression for that in recent Spanish or English. So,
we could say in Spanish like milusos.
yeah, sort of milusos. But this is elegant. That's why he's factotum.
Yeah, it sounds much better.
Yeah. So, largo al factotum de la città, largo. And remember that this is just try to picture in your mind that Il Conte d'Almaviva is on stage and he hears from afar this very nice, bright, cheerful music. And suddenly from the distance comes this guy, this very happy guy saying largo al factotum della città, largo. So you try to picture that with a nice baritone voice, an adequate baritone voice. I cannot think of any at this point, but if you can think of any baritone whose voice you like, try to picture that in your mind. And so,
Um, I
yeah,
love myself as a baritone.
we all love ourselves singing largo al factotum. So you know that you will
Yeah.
have two excuses. Neither Katia or I are baritones, but we enjoy this
I
very much.
said the last program that I was going to sing this area, but I thought that I really sound like Woody Woodpecker. I'll give a try, and you will agree with me. Largo al factotum della città, largo, tra la 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 la, fortunatissimo per verità presto, tra la 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 la, fortunatissimo per verità, fortunatissimo per verità, tra la 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 la.
And
And I'm Woody.
But the thing about it is that if we are not baritones, we still can enjoy it.
We'll have to imagine the sound.
Yeah. So try to imagine what we are doing with the adequate voice of a baritone, and la 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 la. Presto, bottega che l'alma è già presto. La 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 la. Oh, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. I have to say something here that also even you will notice right ahead, and I am pretty sure that I will mess up with the words also, because I have to sing faster than I can scroll. And since I don't have my written score here, you may have because you sing this kind of music. Sometimes the music or the notes you have to sing are going so fast that you're reading pass the score
Yeah,
pass the score.
say a lot later.
Yeah, that's the way it should be done. And I wanted to say that even if there are already many notes, the baritone also like to, baritones can be like sopranos sometimes. And they would take a note out of it, play with it, add an ornament, keep it for longer, give it higher, doing whatever they want. So you may have noticed that the version that you have from your baritone of your preference is different from what is actually written. Sometimes they also like to cut parts.
No.
So at this point, sopranos and divas and baritones are so alike that one cannot tell the difference.
But I would like to add that it is their moment to bright.
It is.
Uh, Being honest, again, most of famous arias and most of famous music is written for tenors or sopranos. So in this case, Figaro is the main character, is the star. Why not?
And he knows it. In this case, he knows it because he's introducing himself like, I am the one who is going to resolve everything. So give me some
Yeah.
space because I am going to solve your problem. So he
So he
go.
can be a
Yeah.
just for this time.
And notice now that he's so proud of himself that he says, "Ah, bravo, Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo, bravo." So he's cheering himself. He knows what he's capable of. So why not? And
Yeah.
I was telling you that no, we really don't need to explain many of the expressions here because la 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 la. What does that mean? It just means that Rossini
La
wanted
la
to
la la
add
la in
something.
every language.
Fortunatissimo per verità. Fortunatissimo per verità, bravo. And then again, la 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 fortunatissimo, fortunatissimo, fortunatissimo per verità. La 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 la. So maybe if you can keep the melody of the whole aria. La 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 la. So it's basically what he's doing for how many times here? A good number of times already. La 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 la. And remember what I told you about Rosina, that he's coming from a very fast pace and then is slowing a little because Rossini wants to slow, and then he goes for pronto for tutto l'anno til giorno sempre d'intorno inger sta miglior cucagna per un barbiere vita più nobile non si dà, and then goes again for la 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 la. So don't try to find any sense in here. It doesn't make sense. He's just having fun. Uh, Rasseri e pettini, lancete forbici al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Lancete forbici, rasseri e pettini al mio comando, tutto qui sta. Bella risorsa, poi del mestiere, con la donetta, col cavaliere, con la donetta, la 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 lena, col cavaliere, la 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 la. Here, that I am, of course, adding a note much longer than written is what baritones usually do. Because can you imagine, can you think of them called cavaliere, la 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 la? Of course not, it can be la, it has to be la. Of course, think of a soprano doing it and you will immediately notice what I am trying to tell you. Okay, a mezzo. Let's say a mezzo, not a soprano. Ah, che bel vivere, che bel piacere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità, di qualità. If you notice, this is the second time that he says di qualità, di qualità. He has already mentioned it in the past. Tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, donne e ragazzi, vecchie fanciulle, qua la parrucca, presto la barba, qua la sanguigna, presto il biglietto, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, qua la parrucca, presto la barba, presto il biglietto. Hey, here comes the hyper famous phrase of after having said tutti mi vogliono, qua la parrucca, presto la barba, presto il biglietto. Hey, Figaro, 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 Figaro. Ahimè, ahimè, che folia, ahimè, che folia. Una alla volta, per carità, per carità, per carità. Uno alla volta, uno alla volta, uno alla volta, per carità. In this part, in fact, he's exaggerating because he has to say that, my God, I am so stressed that so many people are reaching me.
Everybody's calling me. Everybody wants my presence and my help. Let's remember that in the times when it was written, uh, Barbieri usually take care of many things, as even taking care of your feet. So they actually did lots of things. They didn't just cut your hair. So this area is telling a very is telling the truth in a social context.
Yeah, you're right about
It's,
that. But he likes to know, he likes to play the primo uomo and saying, oh, I can't stand it any
he
longer.
enjoys it.
Uno alla
He loves to
volta.
be important.
Uno alla volta, per carità. I'm going to support everybody just one by one, please. Figaro son qua, Figaro son qua. You know, Figaro, the Figaro is here, the Figaro is there, the Figaro is here, the Figaro is there.
The
Figaro
figure's
qua.
height, the third is down.
Yeah, Figaro là, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù. Pronto prontissimo, su come il femmine sono il factotum della città, della città, della città, della città, della città. Here's what I was telling you, that you really need to have a good diction, very good breath, and being able to pronounce. It sounds easy, but sometimes it is not. Pronto prontissimo, sono come il femmine sono il factotum della città, della città, della città, della città, della città. Because as you notice, it is not playing della città, della città, della, it is not della città, della città, della città, della città, della città, della città, della città. So you have to play with that so that people, at this point, people are already crazy about the Figaro, you know, della città, and people are just waiting for him to finish. Because it is very well written. You know, it is so very enthusiastic that people at this point are so in love with Figaro. Della città. And then it comes another phrase where you have to speed up. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo. A te fortuna, a te fortuna, a te fortuna non mancherà. Sono il fortuna. Ah, here there comes a. Usually this part is usually changed. So they skip almost for the last part, but since it is in the score, it is complete. Sono il factotum della città, sono il factotum della città, della città, della città, della città. And usually when you say della, it happens as in una voce poco fa. You will never hear a baritone sing it as it is in the end. At the end, they will do whatever they want. Because if they do it like it is going della città, you will never hear della città. That never happens, never. So they usually go for della città, something like that. So they
Yes.
add a note where it is not written. They do not do where it is written, and they don't keep it for as long as it is written. So any resemblance to a tenor or a soprano is just a coincidence. But it was the time for a Figaro to shine, right? So we can excuse him.
Yeah, we
And
can.
and you know what I like it in here is son el factotum de la città. Personally, I like that passage of the whole aria. Son el factotum de la città de la città de la città de la. And I usually never do città. Usually never do that. I also think it is too much.
Don't lie to us. Don't lie to us.
I swear I don't like to do that. But this is where we have about Mr. Figaro. This time we haven't shared with you a lot of the words or the context in the whole opera, because as I was telling you before, it is a comedia de los enredos. So many things are happening. It is so hard to explain. In fact, many people's recommendation is that when you're starting to or you want to be interested in attending an opera, many people advise you to start with Il Barbiere di Sevilla for this reason. What do you think? Would you suggest people to go for Il Barbiere also?
Oh, yes, it is one of my advices to check something by Rossini, but in a specific, I like to talk about Il Barbiere because you have to pay attention to know exactly who is who and what's happening. But at the same time, it is fun. And like we mentioned the last program, um, the entire music, the entire opera is nice to be heard. It is easy to hear the entire opera, not all the music. Being honest, I love opera. I know you love opera, but you have to be more trained if you want to listen Tosca, for example. And that's true because you uh, start to listen different things. But if you are just approaching to the genre, yeah, is I think that one of my favorites.
It certainly is. And when we have Rossini, we can do anything. So if Katia can sing Il Barbiere, at least a part of it, why can't I sing a part of Don Basilio's aria, which is called La Calunnia un Venticello, which is very funny. I like the text a lot because it is very true. In fact, I'm not sure how you say calumnia in English. How do you say calumnia in English, you know?
Oh, I don't know, but it is a rumor.
But a very bad rumor.
Yes, a terrible one because you're you're spreading something that it's not true at all about a person.
You are doing with all the wrong reasons in your mind.
Oh, of course, you're doing it with the worst intention from your heart.
You are, and this area, that's what it says. You are slender. That's the translation. I just looked for it. So it's slender. So it sounds horrible. I like more La Calunia. And as the text, the words in La Calunia say, you are doing it because you want to destroy the reputation of somebody. So you are doing it with all the wrong reasons in mind. That's when you do La
Yeah.
Calunia. Of course, if it is for a very low voice, for a bass. But I was sharing with Katia, and as I was sharing with you earlier, sometimes the bass voices find it too high and too fast. This is way too fast for many bass voices. So you see that they are suffering when they reach the high notes. They are almost like being strangled because they cannot reach those high notes, very bright notes, and singing as fast as if he was a baritone, because this is fast enough for a baritone. I think that Rossini exceeded exceeded his purpose when he wrote it for a bass.
Yeah.
At this point, maybe somebody's thinking, but there are the basso buffo, which means those voices good for this repertory, which of course there are bass voices right for this repertory, but there are not many. The basso buffo, there
No.
are not many voices, and so many other, let's say, standard bass voices try it, and they usually suffer, which is not fair. Now you will suffer again because you will not hear the right voice singing La Calunia. But since it is very funny, we will try to do it. And if the result is not nice, at least we are going to have fun. Okay? That's the key of it. Again, I am going to play a little of the music in the background because, from my perspective, all the sounds that Rossini puts are also these very, to enhance the purpose of this slender, to enhance how we are going to destroy somebody by just spreading a rumor. So this bad person called Don Basilio is what he's about to sing.
It's a person.
When he says La Calunia, sorry, I wanted to say that something there. He starts, you will notice that he will also start slow. He will do some enhancements. He will go fast, then he will go slow again and playing as it has happened in the two other areas. Assai gentile, che insensibile sottile, leggermente dolcemente, incomincia sussurrar. I want to pause the music there because this is what I like the most. This intention in here in the piano, but in the orchestra, that and he says in a very nasty tone, piano, piano, terra, terra, sottovoce, sibilando. Va scorrendo, va scorrendo, va ronzando, va ronzando, nell'orecchia della gente si introduce destramente, e le teste di cervelli, e le teste di cervelli, fa stordire, fa stordire, fa stordire, fa gonfiar. There comes the music again, this very nice motif of dalla bocca fuori uscendo, lo schiamazzo va crescendo, prende forza poco a poco, vola da di loco in loco, sembra il tuono la tempesta che nel sen della foresta va fischiando, brontolando e ti fa d'orror gelar. Alla fin trova che scoppia, si propaga, si raddoppia e produce un'esplosione come un colpo di cannone, come un colpo di cannone. Un tremoto, un temporale, un tremoto, un temporale, un tumulto generale che fa l'aria rimbombar. Un tremoto, un temporale, un tremoto, un temporale, un tumulto generale che fa l'aria rimbombar. And then comes like a very innocent note, tan 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 tan. But don't let Don Basilio fool you. He is a very bad person. As he is about to say, il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagello pergan sorte va crepar, e il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagello per gran sorte va crepar. You usually hear many basses cut it and go to the end because for them they say it's too much. But there is a repetition here. So it goes for il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagelo per gran sorte va crepar, e il meschino calunniato, avvilito, calpestato, sotto il pubblico flagelo per gran sorte va crepar, sotto il pubblico flagelo per gran sorte va crepar, sotto il pubblico flagelo per gran sorte va crepar, si va crepar, si va crepar, si va crepar. That's how it is usually ended. Of course, again, if the mezzo or the soprano was a diva, if the baritone was a divo, why shouldn't bass be a divo and do whatever he wants at the end? Thank you very much for having joined us with this very funny, hilarious program. I appreciate that you were with us today. Thank you very much and see you next time.